And turning now to the final frontier, space. NASA has just announced the discovery of 715 new planets, which is by far the biggest single batch ever announced. 4 of them are deemed habitable, which means they could possibly support life. But what does it all mean? Well, American students, for one group, may be scratching their heads trying to figure this out because they rank 27th amongst developed countries in science and 35th in math. And that's the point, because what will it take to inspire a generation of young Americans to propel their country back to the forefront of science, like when it sent men to the moon, and also to enhance their own job opportunities in this time of global crisis? And what of solving the great issues of our time, like climate change? I put all of this to astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's the director of the Hayden Planetarium at New York's Natural History Museum, and he joined me earlier. Neil deGrasse Tyson, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me.
Happy to be part of your program.
What about these 715 new planets? How spectacular is it?
It's not like they discovered them all last night and then it got reported this morning. They've been lined up for a while until the confidence in the detection was high enough to then present it all as one release. You could ask, are we alone? Is our solar system unusual, or is it common? And that's one of the great questions we always ask about ourselves, and we've been asking it since we came out of the caves.
And what does it mean for America today, frankly, the world today? Look, it doesn't take a genius to look back and see America's unique exploration of space, and the boundaries of science is being taken over by others. And Americans, sadly, are lagging when it comes to students in terms of science at school. Is this a dangerous time for American progress?
As an American, I would like to have America on the frontier, but as a scientist, science doesn't know national boundaries. One of my worries is that here we are, a country with this great legacy, that it'll fade, and then what happens to the future of this country? Other countries will surely take up this slack because they understand the role and the value of exploration as a force of inspiration on a whole next generation of people who would rise up and occupy the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. Those fields will be the engines of tomorrow's economy.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
I want to explore because I think it's fun, and I like learning something different and new tomorrow that I didn't know today. But I can't require that of everybody, but in any sort of capitalist democracy, money matters, economies matter. With wealth comes health, comes security. And so if you needed a pragmatic reason to explore, the best one out there is innovations in science and technology are the engines of tomorrow's economy. And we've known this certainly since the Industrial Revolution, but even before then. Those nations that invested in exploration and discovery would lead the world in almost every metric that mattered in anything that we call civilization today.
So then the question really is, how does one motivate that imagination and that continuing avenue of study? And I guess it brings me to your new project, which is the Cosmos, right? A sort of a reboot of the classic Carl Sagan 13-part series decades ago.
It's the continuation of the saga of the universe and the discovery of our place within it. And this one is Cosmos, a space-time odyssey.
And in the interest of full disclosure, I've been asked to narrate at least one line in that, so it's a great thing to be part of. But seriously, do you worry about how to motivate young people today in the, in the seriousness and the depth of the necessity of breaching scientific frontiers?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Cosmos, we think, has the power to motivate anyone who is watching it to want to become scientifically literate, or at least embrace how and why the methods and tools of science can tell us about our past, present, and future in this universe. And that knowledge empowers you to become sort of better shepherds of Earth. Oh, and people say, well, can it influence the next generation of kids? Yes, but adults outnumber kids 5 to 1 in the industrialized world. And so I say to myself, maybe the problem today are not scientifically unmotivated kids. It's scientifically unmotivated adults, because adults are in charge. Adults wield resources. Adults create or destroy opportunities. So I think Cosmos is really for everyone here, because it will allow us to invent a future that will be better than the one that anyone was otherwise thinking about.
And your new exhibition at the Hayden Planetarium at the Natural History Museum is all about the discoveries, but also that amount of science that remains a mystery, stuff that we don't know.
It is a whole show on dark matter and dark energy, two things we've measured in the universe, but about which we know nothing. There's still profound mysteries out there, and with mystery comes awe, and I'd like to believe a deep sense of curiosity where you want to go out and find those answers. And when you find answers, the history of the science has shown that great questions that produce great answers can transform how we live in this world.
Let me ask you about the ignorance that you talk about in this regard, but also the collision sometimes of ignorance, others might say it's political positions or faith, versus science. And obviously this comes to play in climate change and that whole debate.
Yeah, there are people who have politicized science. Science is apolitical, all right? Science is what the methods and tools of inquiry tell us about the natural world. The truths of nature are the truths of nature. You can stand in denial of it, I suppose, but what kind of country are you making if that's how you conduct, if that's how you're going to base your policy, because you don't want it to be true? I mean, it'd be like blaming gravity because you're gaining weight. So what we do in Cosmos is just highlight for you how and why science works and why it empowers you to make informed decisions about the world. Our goal is for you to say to yourself, wow, science has completely shaped the world in which we live. Science and its first cousin, technology, have completely shaped the world we live. And this is how science works. And this is why I understand what a truth is. And here's how I can detect when people's philosophies are interfering with the dissemination of those ideas and that knowledge.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, thank you very much indeed.
Happy to be on with you. Thank you for having me.